if we look at the instructions in terms of what we need to do here, you'll notice that I've put some directions under your assignment. So if you scroll down to chapter 6, you'll notice I have like 3 different steps on there that you'll need to do. Now, again, the idea is that you're going to take your files, your Swift file and your HTML file, and you're going to upload them onto a free web hosting site, if you can get one. And as you can see, these right here are 2 of the sites that maybe you can get free hosting site. Also, we'll go into the discussion and I'll show you 2 other sites. That one that student posted, and then or 2 of them from students, so that maybe those work for you. What you have to do for each of those sites, any one of those sites, those free hosting sites, you need to sign up. Okay, so you'll need to sign up. Use your email. You're going to use your email. If you have a Yahoo email account, I've noticed sometimes there's problems with, I think, O web host. So you may want to create like a Gmail account type thing, and try that. If for some reason it gives you problems. But last semester, some of the students were having problems with their Yahoo account. Okay. Anyway, because they need to verify it and all that kind of stuff, and then when they verify it and so on, then they'll send you a confirmation. Now, again, this wasn't too much of a problem last semester, but once a few students did have problems where they did not get their confirmation till the next day, right? So again, do it as soon as possible. As soon as we're done here, the first thing you should do is sign up for one of those free hosting sites. And then I'm going to talk about how to upload your files and all that kind of stuff. But one of the most important things you need to upload is going to be your Swift file, your .swf file. You don't need to upload a .fla file. You can upload it and use it as a storage place, but you don't use that in actually bringing up your website. The other thing is that you'll need to do is that when you publish your file, it is important that you name that file index so that it creates index.html. So you're either going to rename it, or within the publishing area for the Flash, that's where you're going to type in index. So it creates index.html. The reason is this, because when you type in a URL, so the website name, the file that it knows to bring up first is called index. If you name it first, it's not going to know it. Main, it's not going to know it. The first file should be the first. Whatever you want to name it in terms of other than index, it will not work. In terms of like when you type the URL, it will not find that file. If it's named index.html, it'll find that file, and that's the file it's going to pull up to throw up on the internet. Okay. So then what's going to happen is that when it throws up that file, within the index file, it'll have code in there to go and get your Swift file and then bring it up. And then you can see it the way you've designed it, and in terms of dimensions and all that kind of stuff. Okay? So that's the idea. So you need to upload the files accordingly, the same way that you upload, that you have it stored. So that's going to be important too, because it looks at your folder structure or your directory structure, and then you need to match that directory structure that you have set up on your computer to the directory structure that, the same way you're going to set it up on the web hosting site. Okay, and I have a couple of things that can, on the discussion, that can hopefully help you out. All right, so if you have already a paid site, you're paying for a hosting site, you can use that. That's no problem. What else? Anyway, so that's basically a little bit of what I wrote on here. Then on the discussion, under chapter 6, here are the few things that I posted. And you guys can go back and look at that. But so there's a guide to uploading files to a server. Okay. And that, here's the document. It's a Word document. And basically what that tells you, it's going to tell you once you basically get confirmation, you're going to log in, and a few of these sites have what they call a cPanel set up. Okay, so a cPanel will look something like this. Well, here's like where you would log in, and then again, this will vary. This will vary from site to site, web hosting program from whatever hosting program you're using. But the point is you're going to look for something that says cPanel. Okay, so somewhere within here, log into cPanel. Other times it'll say, directory. What was that? Control panel. No, maybe it'll say control panel. But also another one is like the FTP account. So sometimes you have to create an FTP account, which means file transfer protocol account. So you have to sometimes set that up in order to upload multiple files when you're trying to upload a lot of files. Okay. You may not need to do this. You may not need to set up an FTP account, but you can always use this right here where it says File Manager. This right here, or you see that image, or it says File Manager. If you double click on that, you can upload your files because you guys are only going to actually upload 2 files. It's going to be the index.html file and your Swift file. That's all you really need to upload is those 2 files, and they will go in the same directory. The directory that you're looking for, it's usually called public_HTML. Let me see if we can find it here. See this image right here? I know it's kind of hard to see, but let me see if I can bring this up a little more. Well, right here, it says public HTML _. You notice that there's a bunch of other directories or folders on here. When you log in and you're able to have access to it, you're going to go to public_HTML. That's what it's usually called. Sometimes it'll just be called public without the underscore HTML. But basically, that's the directory that you're going to put your index.html file and your Swift file. Okay. So again, notice it'll say something like this. All right. And it should show up in your. By the way, this right here, what you're seeing, this program is a FTP type program, and it's called CyberDuck. The other one that you probably will use is FileZilla. That's very popular also when uploading. But as I said before, you don't have to necessarily use those type of FTP programs. You can go right to File Manager, and it kind of allows you to, but you have to upload 1 file at a time sometimes. Or sometimes it will allow you to upload like 5 files at a time. Again, in this case, no big deal. But when you're creating a large website, then you definitely need to create an FTP account, and you would need to create, you need to use a FTP program in order to upload like hundreds of files and stuff, because otherwise it would take you forever to upload 5 files at a time or even 1 file at a time type of thing. Okay, so that's, So that's under Guide to Uploading Files to a Server. Okay. Under Chapter 6 also I have is this another free hosting site. You can guys check that one out. This one here, this one where it says different web hosting site. On this one, it's a site that I never tried, so I'm not too sure. You guys can try that out. Soon post it, and I just copy paste it, even though it's actually looks like I posted it, but it wasn't really me that posted that one. This other one, I want to show you this one. here's another site provided by a student. This one is from the UK, okay? But what's nice about it is that someone did a tutorial on it, okay? So you guys can look up this tutorial on YouTube if you're having problems with it. So it goes with that site. They do offer, I checked it out, they do offer free web hosting. So, and they follow the cPanel setup and all that kind of stuff. So that would be a good experience to go through. That's one site you can check out. The Triple site, I think, also uses a cPanel. You might want to check that one out. You know, the ones that I had posted on there under the assignment. The other thing that you need to understand is one of the things you'll be doing for this chapter. As you'll notice, by the way, I tell you to skip some steps in the assignment page, because you're not going to do some of those steps. You're going to do what I want you to do is here, which is actually upload the files. Keep in mind that's not in the book. The book doesn't talk about doing that, so you're not going to see that as part of the assignment. You have to, you know, again, it is part of your assignment, but you know, I added that on, or I took out some steps and added that part. So one of the things you need to do though with Flash is to create a preloader. Okay, you've seen this before where you see like little loading ... Maybe it shows a percentage. Maybe there's a bar showing you how much you've loaded. You know, in those Flash type website, or you see a percentage number rolling type of thing. So there's different type of things, that different ways you could set up a preloader in terms of the graphic itself. But the technology, the programming of it is somewhat the same. Okay, and the reason is for that is because Flash self-contains everything, all right? And then, but you can set it up so it loads. When it starts loading, the user can start watching it, or it just tells the user, okay, we're loading. Just wait. Okay, it's 100% loaded. Boom. Go ahead. It'll throw you into the website. Or you can set it up so that when it loads halfway or a quarter of the way, it throws it up, and the user can start interacting with it. And while they're interacting with it, it's still loading in the background, in terms of all your images and all that other kind of stuff. So there's different ways you can set it up. So with a preloader, it allows the user to know, hey, it's loading, and so that keeps hopefully the user still engaged into the website. Now, some of you guys are doing ActionScript 3.0, and most of you guys are doing ActionScript 2.0. So let's look at those two ways that you can create ActionScript 2.0. On here also, if you'll notice, I put Preloader Code for CS6. Okay, I'm going to bring that up, and then we'll talk about that. I'll come back to that in a few minutes so you guys understand this, what I wrote here a little bit better. But here's what's going on. So here's a student's project, right? What it's going to ask you to do is this. So if you look at this, the timeline of the student, it actually starts right here on frame 10. And yours all start on frame 1, right? When you first open it up, this is usually see the opening page, the landing page, right? And then you click on animation, and then you start going into your animation where you see, you interact with it and so on, right? That type of thing. Now, so what the student had to do is he had to move everything from frame 1 over to about 10 frames. Okay? You can do that, and it's not that hard to do. But what happens from time to time, your animations get all screwed up sometimes, not all the time. And also, if you think about it, when you used for your buttons, for instance, like if we look at this button right here, and if we look at the code, notice it says on release go to and play 12, right? So now it's going to say on release go to and play frame 2, right? So that means you have to go through all your buttons, and then you have to figure out, okay, so now that I move this over 10 frames, you have to add 10 to it, basically, for the most part. You could do it that way. That's the way the book asks you to do it. I think there's another better way to do it. Let me show you the other way. Okay, but just in case you don't get a chance to do it my way, and you just follow the book, let me just explain that way first. So again, what they did is they selected everything. Like, notice how I'm selecting all this, all the frames. And I have to go all the way to the last animation. Make sure everything's selected. Notice I don't have everything selected here. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to hold down this, click on that key, scroll all the way over here, scroll down. Oops. All the way down, and I think, wait a minute, was it frame 175, yeah. And click here, notice I'm holding down the shift key. So I clicked on that, the beginning of the animation or the beginning of the page, held on the shift key, went all the way to the bottom of it, scrolled all the way as far as the frame went. And then you'll notice what I'll do is I click and drag. And when I click and drag, it moves. Notice in this case, it created this huge gap because I just clicked and dragged it, right? And for the most part, that's all you have to do, to create those 10 frame gap at the beginning. All right, I'm going to undo this. So again, the student moves it all the way to the side. Yeah.
What about the action script?
Right. So I'm going to talk about the action script now. So the action script, basically, you'll notice that it's being used. And you'll notice the book talks about creating this text right here, and then ... That's what these frames are right here. The preloader is. So that's where you see loading ... loading ... And what the action script is doing is looking at. Well, let's look at the action script right here. See, it says if frame loaded. So it's saying basically. It's a method that's looking to see if all the frames are loaded. And then it's going to check wherever you set up the label end of movie. So wherever you set that up, it could be at the actual end of the movie, or it could be actually in the middle. Doesn't matter. But the point is, it's going to check if all the frames are loaded. And it'll keep going and checking to see if all the frames are loaded. And then once all the frames are loaded, then it will do this action that you want it to do. Right here. So in this case, it says go to and play, start of movie. So again, a frame label, and this, by the way, those could be frame numbers. They don't have to be frame labels. Yeah.
No, I meant, like, what about the action? Like when you move it, like we set those action scripts to those, like replay on. That,
right.
Like,
yeah. So then you have to you have to go back through all of them.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to show you another way that you don't have to do that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I just want to make sure you understand that the way the book is asking you to do first. So you understand what it's asking you to do. Because you're going to take some of this and still use it again. Okay? But again, the labels is this right here. If you'll notice, what you do is you select a keyframe. You have to put a keyframe, and then you go over to the properties and you type in whatever you want to type in here. In this case, it was start of movie. Oops. Shoot, what happened there? Well, it had said start of movie. There it is. So again, it'll say start of movie because you type that in. And what's nice about using frame labels instead of frames is that you can actually take that keyframe, for instance, and just move it. You see? And then so it will always go to wherever you move it. So in that sense, that's good. Okay, that's why it's sometimes better to use frame labels instead of frames in the parentheses when you use go to and play, whatever type thing. But you'll notice the student set up. That's the start of the movie. And then here's the last frame label. We know it's a frame label because we see a little red flag there. When I click on that, it says end of movie. So again, I could actually put this, I can click and drag this to the middle somewhere here so that what it's doing is checking to see if everything's loaded up to here. And if everything's loaded up to there, it'll throw it up on the internet. Yeah.
I have an issue with frame labels where the action script said that it was an undefined property.
It said it was an undefined property. It could be. You have to make sure that. Again, notice that, for instance, that this student used camel casing, right? Make sure everything's spelled out correctly. Or otherwise, I'll check with we'll double check. But usually that's the problem. Like if you don't capitalize somewhere and you capitalize somewhere else, or if you miss the E or whatever, it throws it off. So yeah, that's when it'll do undefined properties.
Well, I kept constantly checking back and forth, making sure everything was like exactly the same.
Uh-huh.
Position, spelling, all that, just to figure out what the problem is.
Okay, well, I'll look at your file, and I'll check it out. But anyway, so yeah, if I wanted to do that, that's, again, we can set it up that way. Okay, so that's how the book has you set it up. And this is the way I want you, well, you don't have to do it this way, but this is the way I think it's a little easier because you don't have to take and move everything over to the right, and then have to go back and redo those buttons and all that kind of stuff. This other way, in this file, what this student did is that they created a preloader scene. Okay, so in the scene, all you have is just this action script, and then this image right here. And this could be anything. This could be somebody walking really fast, a walk cycle, something. But it would have to be. You don't want it to be a large graphic or anything like that. You want it to be vector shape. You want it to be frame by frame as it's set up right here, type thing. You don't want it to be like in something that has to be graphic intensive of some sort. You want it to be small, fast, easy to load. Okay, that's the whole point of doing this preloader, right? So now what we did is this person created several scenes, but the main scene is scene 1, okay? So where everything is at, and it still stays at frame 1. So they didn't have to move or change anything right here in scene 1. But when we go to the preloader scene, you notice again, it's basically the same setup that the book has. But the difference is this. In terms of your action script, it's a little different in terms of what the book has. So if I click on the A right here, you'll notice it says if frame loaded, right? But then it says char, comma, end of movie. Or that's what the person used for character, right? And then go to and play scene 1. So what's different about it is that you're adding this part right here. You see, this part right here is actually what you're going to put in terms of the name of your main scene. This person has more than one scene. You'll notice right here, here's the character scene, or it's just a character. You see? So for instance, like when at the end of the animation, when you're using scenes, you have to use the name of the scene, which you're going to put in quotes, as you see right here, comma, and then the frame number if you're going to use a frame. But on the preloader, she didn't use a frame, she used a frame label. So again, it works where you do it quotes, name of the scene, comma, but quotes again, and the frame label, end of quote, within the parentheses. And you'll notice that then, so again, it's checking to see if everything's loaded, which is the last scene. So it's checking all throughout the different scenes. So it's going through these scenes, scene, and then if it notices when all this is loaded, then it'll go to and play. It'll go back up to scene 1 at wherever she set up the start of movie. So meaning, boom, everything's loaded. Then go to scene 1, and if you'll notice, here's where the frame label is. Where's start of movie? Where did she put the frame label? Oh. Start a movie. There's the frame label. So again, she put the frame label right at the beginning. You see? So that works out really nicely because it'll play, and, or it'll start loading, and then, and she could have had it so that when this fourth scene was completely loaded, didn't have to wait for all these other scenes to load, and then start loading on frame 1. You could have done it. She could have done it that way. Okay, so that's one way to set it up, in terms of the way to set it up. The other thing is that when they ask you to test it, when you test it out, you'll notice here I'm testing it, and it goes by real fast. So in CS6 you can do view, simulate, look at the download settings. Let's change this. Simulate download right here. and then you'll notice then it'll start, see it starts loading right there, doing the loading thing, loading. It's figuring out if everything's loaded, and then eventually, when everything's loaded, it will load that first scene. Okay? I've set it up to 56 kilobytes per second, which is very slow. So I'm not going to wait for it. But let me show you a site a student has put up on the internet and give you an idea of how that will work. Sorry. Hold on, let me try. You may get this in terms of if you haven't updated your browser. I think this one is updated, so let me see here. So it says loading, and then you see the little 3 dots, and then the site loads. Because the internet connection, the internet connection is much faster here, and so on. Again, this is all uploaded to, I think his is a paid site because he has his full name on there, something.com, and he probably pays for a hosting site because eventually this is going to be his portfolio or something like that, right? So then you click on animation, character animation, and so on and whatever, and it does this thing, right? Okay, so that's if you're doing the. So I put on here if you forgot all that. Well, you can obviously I'm recording it, and also you can look this up under Preloader Code for CS6. So I talk about the frame label right here, using frame label names instead of numbers and stuff like that. So you can look at that. Now, for people who are using Adobe CC, or you could be actually doing using CS6 and also be using ActionScript 3.0. But most likely, if you're using CC, you have to use 3.0, ActionScript 3.0. So I've set this up for 3.0 also. If you look at under tutorial site for Preloader Code for Flash CC. And that basically I just have the site there. And pretty much what you're doing is in this case, you're going to do a bar. Okay? You're going to create a bar, shows you how to create that bar. And then you're also, besides the bar, you're also going to do is you're going to set up a text so that it tells you a percentage also. Not just the bar, but also in terms of the percentage. Unlike the other, like in the book where it's just loading, right? This actually tells you in terms of the percentage itself. So you're going to follow in terms of how to create the bar, how to label it correctly, how to set up the text correctly because it's not going to be static anymore. It's going to be a dynamic text. And then the action script right here. And basically you follow the action script. It shouldn't take you too long to set this up. Make sure you read through it so you understand what you're doing in terms of setting it up. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll come around and help you out. But the other thing you're going to do though, is you're going to basically set it up the same way that you set up this site, or the way this site was set up, so that the preloader, you're not going to be doing this type of thing, but you're just going to have one action script set up right here at the beginning, or here at the frame 1. I don't know why the student left this out. There's no need for that. But anyway, everything's just going to be set up on frame 1 where you set up the script, and then right below it you would set up the text with the bar. For those of you who are doing the action script 3.0, okay? Let me just check something out real quick. Thought I had an example of that. Nah, I don't have an example of it. But it's pretty much. Again, make sure you create the. Let me show you though how to create the different type of scenes because I haven't shown you that. I think the book does show you, but if it doesn't, here it is. So I'm going to create a new file just real quickly. 3.0, it doesn't matter. So notice right here, this is scene 1. Okay, so this is scene 1, right? We see scene 1. In CS6, you have to go to down to other panels, down at the bottom where it says other panels, and then open up the scenes dialog box here, or panel right here. You're going to open up scene 1. Notice it says scene 1. Then if to create a new scene, all you do is just click on this left icon, far left icon. Notice it creates scene 2. Notice scene 1 is right here. It's the first scene. But the first thing we want it to be is the preloader, right? So I'm going to select scene 2 and click and drag it up. And now scene 2. So this is scene 2 with the oval, right? So this is the first scene. This is the preloader scene. And by the way, if you double click on the name, you can just type in preloader or whatever you want to type in. Doesn't matter. You can leave that as a scene 1, or like in the small tutorial that I wrote in the discussion, I named it main. So that's the main, you know, where everything, basically, this would be scene 2. This is the main scene right here. Oh, sorry. Where, in this case, scene 1 is the main scene for this student, right? Actually, let me see something here. I think this student, actually I did set it up. No. Okay, anyway. Thought the student had set it up the way I was telling you to set it up for if you had ActionScript 3.0. But the point is, in 3.0 or in 2.0, setting up the ActionScript, you're going to set it up on the very top scene. Just keep that in mind. Okay? Any questions? No? All right.